Well, is there a better tool that empowers a woman to defend against an attacker than 100 pounds bigger? That's why it's so important for women to learn how to defend themselves with the most effective self-defense tool ever invented. For women led by women, the Not Me program is designed to help with training, purchasing a gun, and getting a concealed carry permit. And guess what? All of it's free. All you have to do is go to NotMeSD.org. And we've got an expert on that topic sitting right here. Hi, Des.
Hi, Dave. How are you?
Good. So you having fun with this program?
Fun is an interesting word to describe it. I would say I'm having a lot of empowerment with being able to empower other women.
Yeah, but you smile a lot when you talk about it. So there's got to be some fun in there somewhere.
The fun is being able to see the success of the program.
There you go.
And I love when women come up to me and say, Desi, I got my CCW because of you.
Yeah.
Or I was able to go through the program. And that's what makes me smile. And that's the fun, is being able to see the success and hear the stories of these women coming back through it.
Especially when a lot of them are scared to death of a gun going in. You're able to change that and turn it into a smile, and they can't wait to go shoot again, i.e. his wife, even though she didn't go through your program.
Right. But Joe actually made a comment earlier, which I thought was really interesting, that we talk about a lot, is when you go into a gun shop, 9 out of 10 people behind that counter are men. And the way women, and of course men we're built differently. Imagine that. And so the way that a man might talk about what kind of gun to get is going to be completely different than, say, what Alicia and I would recommend for a woman. Because you have to think about your hand size and the way it's going to, recoil and all. There's a lot of different things that come into play. So a guy might just say, based off of Joe's point, color. Right? Mm-hmm. Like you need this pink gun or...
Little and pink.
Yeah, little and pink. Or for me, it's a teal gun, of course, because I love my colored guns.
Right.
But the way we talk about things are completely different. And one of the biggest obstacles that we see a lot with women trying to get started with their firearms journey is knowing where to start. And they're not like all of us here in the room where we have friends that we can just go ask, like, hey, what kind of gun do you think I should get? Or where are these resources? And so Not Me started off as San Diego County Gunner's response to sexual assault and domestic violence in San Diego. A lot of you guys have heard about the Me Too movement, right? And so the Me Too movement became really big and powerful back in 2017. And Not Me was, born in 2019. And what was interesting is I came into the picture in 2020, right? Like I was hired to work with this program when COVID hit. Because you can imagine COVID hit and people were scared. Everyone didn't know what was going on. They didn't know what their safety was like. Like no one knew what was going to happen. And so San Diego County gun owners saw a huge influx of inquiries within the program and needed someone to come in and help streamline things and to help, build this program into, the beast that it is today. And ever since, I've came on board, I've been able to really kind of adapt and change this program into what it is today. And even though we started off as, the response to sexual assault and domestic violence in San Diego, I would say probably 1 in 4 women that come through our program have been a victim. But I would say it's morphed more into just being a resource for women that want help to find training for firearms. They want help picking out that gun and they want help to get their CCW. So there's a lot of things that we can kind of break this down when we talk about the program. So let's first talk about firearms, like what we were kind of talking about. So when it comes to firearms, again, not every person is the same. What I prefer for a gun might be completely different than, say, what Joe or Alicia or even yourself, Dave, would prefer in a gun, right? So we have to really kind of break down, what are you looking for? Are you looking for home defense? Are you wanting to be able to carry it, right? And I always recommend to any of these ladies that you try the gun first, right? And our shooting socials are a great opportunity for women to kind of get their feet wet. Like, what kind of gun do they want? Do they even want to get started? And at our shooting socials, I always love when I see these brand new shooters come. And I always think about this one story that happened a couple months ago where, I had this lady come and she was so scared. Like, you could see her every time she heard a gunshot, she would just jump. And, I put her with one of my ambassadors, Sasha, who, really worked with her and she's really patient. And so she started kind of taking through it and we just have to go, you are safe. Like, nothing bad is going to happen to you today. You were in good hands. Nothing bad's going to happen, right? And she was just so scared. And so I walked away and just kind of told her, just breathe. And I came back about 5 minutes later and something had changed in her. And now she was getting a grouping like this on her target.
Wow.
And I was like, hey, what changed? And she's like, Desi, I have a 16-year-old daughter that I walk to the bus stop every day. And so I just thought about what I would do if someone tried to harm my daughter. And she's like, it was the mama bear in me that came out.
Yeah.
And so I just channeled all of that energy into my shooting.
Wow.
And she has been back at a couple different shooting socials, right? And she keeps working with Sasha. And so, we're kind of taking her through the progress of, let's just start here. And, the next step she wants to do is, to purchase a firearm. But the timelines for going through Not Me, they're all different. Right. Like no one is the same. And it really depends on how eager they are to continue.
There's no time limit.
There's no time limit to safety. Right. And these women can be within the program for a year, even at most, if they want to, right? Because it's a matter of, do they want to get the training? And that ambassador stays with her until she's ready to say, Desi, I'm done. I don't need you anymore. And what I love is when those stories come back and they become ambassadors because they understand what we did for them and now they want to give back. Sure. Right. And I think that's an amazing feeling that we get, and I've had a good handful of my ambassadors become that.
And
because
plus
of
they're
it.
comfortable with all of you guys because you're now kind of part of the
pack.
Part of the pack,
right?
And if you were a little nervous about shooting, but now you're going to come back and shoot with people
right?
And I think that has a lot to do with it. And I'm not surprised they're not leaving. I mean, seriously. I mean, it's such a positive experience. It's like a fellowship. It's like being in a sorority.
Well, and a lot of the ambassadors, like Alicia's an ambassador, right? Like a lot of the women that mentor with the program, ambassadors are all volunteers, right? They're very passionate about helping other women. And they want to see these women succeed and go through the program because when you can teach someone safety and teach someone about firearms and you can be that kind of bridging of the gap, that's a great feeling. And that's one thing that I always talk to women when they want to become an ambassador is think about how when you help someone, like teach them how to shoot. That's something that, again, you're empowering that woman with her safety into her own hands. And that's a feeling that stays with them for the rest of their life.
Right.
So it's that ripple effect that we see with these women going through the program. And like, I don't know about you, Alicia, but when I'm at the range and I'm, keyholing rounds, it's a great empowerment feeling. And so when you can teach someone that feeling, it's just something that you can't take away. And that's what, Not Me has become so powerful with over the past, couple of years is we're helping these women take their safety back into their own hands.
Okay, for all the rookies out there.
Yes, the rookies that are out there.
Keyholing around, would you like to explain that?
Alicia, you're better at explaining that than I am.
So it's basically hole through a hole. So it's consistency, and you hit where you aim, and you're consistent.
Right.
I see.
It's like the Robin Hood. You get one
I know,
arrow
it's
through the other.
Exactly.
First thing, I just watched that the other night. Too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
So
that makes sense.
think
Earl
about-
Flynn?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Think about how crazy the world is these days, right? So
Yeah.
91% of sexual assault victims are women, right? 8 out of 10 women will become, are women.
Right.
And this is crazy that 1 in 3 women will actually be a victim of sexual assault at some point in her lifetime. So the reason
Real
why
scary
it's
thought.
super scary, and I'm fortunate, knock on wood, that I haven't been in that situation, but I practice what I preach. So if we're doing these situational awareness classes, like I'm there and I'm, I might be kind of supporting the class, but I'm always taking advice and looking for something.
You can always learn.
You can always learn something, right? And we have a Stop the Bleed class coming up in a couple of weeks that Brooke, who's one of my ambassadors, she's also a nurse, is teaching this class. So we try to do as many classes as we can to put more tools in their tool belt to protect themselves.
Right.
And you just never know if there's going to be an accident that can happen and you might need to stop the bleed, right? Like there's just so many situations that we can be put in. And that's where Not Me has really evolved into being just like a resource for women to be empowered, whether that be through Krav Maga, situational awareness, pepper spray, right? Like there's so many different types of classes that you can take to be empowered, to be your own protector. And so I want to be that gap that they know, hey, if I want more additional resources, Not Me is the place to go. Like our foundation's always firearms, of course.
Sure.
But we want to have other options for them.
And there's a lot more. Don't you have a website?
We do. NotMeSD.org.
Okay, thought I better ask because Joe didn't know it.
Joe didn't ask because he knows this by heart at this point.
I didn't want to break you guys up there. Everybody was on a roll. Didn't
I know that you
interrupt
didn't get your
anything.
foot in the door.
Gonna get
well,
that foot
you
ran
got 4
over.
minutes.
Oh, that's it? You're done with the...
I'm not done.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm only kidding. Well, I just want to know if you wanted to comment on the program.
No,
'cause
I know the thing with the finger. I can comment.
I was going to say, what are you talking about?
Thing with the finger.
That's
Has to
my
raise
rule.
it
Radio
to-
talk.
Like if you
Gotcha,
want to
gotcha,
talk, you
gotcha.
stick your finger up.
Gotcha.
Yes.
All right.
Well,
Well, what more?
What more?
My dear.
I mean, what else do you want to know? I mean, just kidding. No, so at this point, so
What's
again,
the easiest way to get a hold of you?
I mean, just go to notmesd.org, fill out an application. That's the easiest way to get a hold of us.
How soon do you guys return? calls?
Typically within 24 to 48 hours.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have a very quick response time. If one of my ambassadors isn't reaching out, I'm always here as a resource as well. Right. But at this point, we've had 850 women apply to the program. 850. And out of that 850, we've actually had 800 women graduate.
Wow.
So that means that we've helped over 800 women purchase a firearm.
That's a good percentage.
It's a great percentage, and I love seeing those numbers continue to grow.
Right.
What's the biggest thing that they ask for, or what's the thing that you help women with the most often?
Getting their CCW, I would say.
Just going through the process.
Going through the process.
So they
and
walk up, and that's exactly what they're looking for.
a lot of times on the applications, I do see that. Like, women want to be empowered, and they want to be able to carry a gun outside the home.
They're not just nosy. They want to go the full Monte.
They want to go they want to go full on and dive into the deep end. And I do virtual CCW seminars about every 6 to 8 weeks, where same thing like what we do in person. I walk them through the process, but it's a very safe place where, it's of course just women that are here. So if they need to ask questions, I mean, there's no more proof of good cause, which when I was doing these before, that was always a big question, is how do I show proof that I need
the hardest
this?
part.
That was the hardest part. But like, you had a lot of single moms that wanted to get their CCW to protect themselves and their kids. And, so it was just a different
And
dynamic.
people still think you have to have.
That is still the biggest perception
Yeah.
that I hear out in the wild, is that people still think that you have to get your CCW. But the scary part to me, though, is even people that have their CCW, they don't train, right?
Not like they should.
Yeah, but there should be some way, to renew it. You have to show a card with
You have to shoot.
Well, you do.
have
It's
to do a
just-
You
shoot
do.
call. You do.
Yeah, it's just the problem with
But-
that, because we see that in class
Yeah.
too. Because I'll look at a class like just this last Friday or Saturday, and I know that half of those people won't touch a gun again
Until
for
the
2
renewal
years
for
until
two
they
years.
come back.
Until the
Because your
next
permits are valid for 2 years, and if all that they're doing is shooting every 2 years,
And that's what. And I used to feel bad about that. And then remember Ulysses, right? Ursula Williams was on the show,
Yep.
and she set me straight on that, because that was my problem, is that we have an obligation or something to make these people. And how do you do that? And she said they're adults. They said they're taking on this responsibility. They have a responsibility to learn
That's right.
this stuff. So that's why I offer the classes. I do what I can do, but I can't make them do it.
What's that old saying? You can take a horse to water, you can't make it drink.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Hey, a lot of companies. 91.6, 101.5, or 101.5.
Yeah, the answer,
The
all
answer?
that stuff.
That's it.
You
Well,
got
you
it.
freaked me out with your story, and you're not even done with it.
Not even done.
A
Didn't
lot
get to
of
the punchline.
You could almost do that live. A lot of companies waste an enormous amount of money in marketing. The design is excellent, the photos are beautiful, and the website looks great, but it's just not getting customers. Why? Because you don't have the words that make people buy. But now you can fix that with Sage Tree. Sage Tree can help you find the words that make it easy for your customer to understand what to do and how to buy, especially from you. Stop wasting money, and today, give them a call. You can call, or actually just go to the website. It's a lot easier. Just go to sagetree.com. That's sagetree.com. Just flash into my head when I was thinking about Sage Tree. The guest we had last week, it turned into a one-man
Gabe?
show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gabe, yep.
I mean, there was a prime example. Here's a guy who's pretty,
Yeah.
noteworthy when it comes to, working out in the World Wide Web. And he's extremely happy
Oh, absolutely.
That's right. A satisfied Sage Tree customer.
and got it quicker than he had
He wasn't even
the
ready.
site.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he didn't
Yeah.
have the material, the content
Yep.
ready. Yeah.
Exactly. All right, so we already did not meet.
We're still talking about it, though.
Well, then rock and
It
roll, girl.
continues on.
It continues on.
It does
exactly.
continue on. Go for it.
So I want to talk about a success story that we recently had, because I love sharing these. And, over Christmas time, we were at one of our shooting socials, and a lot of our shooting socials, even though we have like every other one to be like a general where men can actually attend, 90% of people who show up are always women, right? Because you have this new generation of women that are becoming gun owners. And so a lot of times, even at our general shooting socials, they are women that want to come and attend. Alicia sees that. Like, we see a huge rise in new shooters being women. And I love that, because it's women empowerment. That means I'm doing my job. But I had this individual who was out at my shooting social, and she came, she shot, she brought her own gun because she already owned it. And she's like, Desi, I'm trying to get my CCW. And I was like, all right, well, just let's talk a little bit more. Let's figure out what you're looking for. And she kind of took me to the side and she said, look, Desi, I've been a victim of domestic violence, and my attacker is getting out soon. And I want my firearm and my CCW so that way, if and when he gets out, I can protect myself because I am scared out of my mind right now that whenever he gets out, he's going to come after me. I was like, okay, like this is again why Not Me was born, right? It was to help women exactly like this. And so I had her go home and she submitted her application that night. And I was like, look, if you can email me once you submit your application, I can't guarantee it, but we will see what we can do to push your application ahead of the process, right? And her typical first appointment was supposed to be a year out. We got it. So her first appointment was a month later, right? So this is a great success story that we're talking about here. So a month later, she goes to her first appointment. She's now in her 90-day waiting period. Within 90 days, she gets her approval. And before her abuser gets out, she now has her CCW. And the amount of gratitude that I have had from this individual is you can't really talk about that, right? Because we were able to help her get her CCW, and I put her with one of my female instructors that, I know very well, because some of these cases just need a little bit of extra hand-holding. And the instructor that I put her with is great because she really does take that extra time to not just put her through the 8-hour class for her CCW, but she really talks them through about other ways to protect herself. Like one of the things that we don't talk about that often is actually being able to use your voice if you're being attacked, right? Like use your voice, be loud, and now you have your CCW. And this individual's attacker recently got out and she messaged me there. She's like, Desi, I feel so much more confident in protecting myself because of Not Me and because of what you guys have done for me.
But did he come see her?
I don't know, but if he does...
But she doesn't care because she's in a much better place.
She's in a much better place, and she's taken all of my classes that we have done. She has taken my situational awareness and pepper spray class. We also did the image-based decision-making class with Dakota a couple of weeks ago. And so she has been at all of these events because she understands the resources that are now being offered to her because of Not Me.
But she didn't know any of that was available.
She didn't know any of that was available until she somehow stumbled upon our website. And now she is one of our biggest advocates because of what we've done for her. But she would never have had any of that if it hadn't been for the program. And all of this kind of took place over the course of, 6 months. So she went on, she got an ambassador. So we kind of work hand in hand. And when these special cases come up, I definitely help step in because they need a little bit of that extra hand holding, right? And we never want cost to be a prohibitor for someone to come through the program. So there are, grants and scholarships that we can offer depending on the circumstances. We never want that to be a hindrance for someone to come through the program. And the big difference between Not Me and say other programs that are out there is we're not just a pamphlet, right? We're not just going to give you a flyer and say, hey, go figure it out. With each person that comes to the program, they're assigned an ambassador, and that ambassador's role is to kind of be that concierge service with what can I help you with? Some individuals are very easy where they don't take as much time. Others do take a little more TLC, right, because of what they're looking for with the program. Yep. Alicia, you've been an ambassador for I don't know how long. I mean, what's your thoughts on being an ambassador, and why are you volunteering your time to help me?
So it just... Oh gosh, that's
how long you been an ambassador?
So I initially came in back in 2019, shortly after it started. I was not able to commit the time to it long term, so I did kind of have to back out. And then I came back on board last year. So it's like Desi stated, there's a number of women that come through. Sometimes it's just a matter of me sitting side by side with them and looking at the CCW application. Sometimes I've gone with them to the gun shop just so that they can have a little bit of confidence with I have someone with me. It's not that I'm doing anything for them or on their behalf. I'm just there as a support so that they feel a little bit better about what they're doing and they don't feel so lost. As far as why I'm doing it, I think it's a great program and there's a huge need for it. If I don't do it,
exactly.
There's not that I'm the greatest and the best, but if I don't do it, who will? And there's, like Desi stated, there's about 15 ambassadors currently on the roll, but we need more.
We always need more.
And we always need more.
The thing that happens when we see a big influx of inquiries is anytime we do media appearances, right? Anytime I've been on KUSI, hey, I'm just saying it works.
You don't have to tell me.
It's free advertising, and that's the way people hear about us.
Spikes.
We do see spikes. And so when we see those spikes is when I need more ambassadors to kind of help with that spike. But the biggest problem that I see is that not enough people know about the program.
Right.
And so word of mouth is the biggest way we see that too, right? A girlfriend will come to a shooting social, hear about us, love her experience. So she kind of, tells about it. But we need more people to tell about the program because it is free. It's not going to cost you anything to get that resource and that hand holding through the program.
Have you gotten on any other TV stations?
No, I'm afraid to. I'm afraid to go on any other news station because of their political allegiances and
But you
allies.
could handle it. I think
I
you
could.
I mean, here, all you have to do, go to their websites, and there'll be a little button to push for, do you have a story?
I always have a story to tell.
I know, but wouldn't it be, all you're doing is you're offering a service.
I'm offering a
You're
service to
not
the
making,
community.
you're not making an opinion.
No, I'm not making an opinion. I'm talking about a resource for women out there
Take
that are
Alicia
looking
with
for
you.
help. Huh?
Take Alicia with you. She'll take
I'll
care
hold
of
your
it.
hand.
You hold my hand?
Hold your
You hold my hand through the process?
But I think it would be great if you guys both start, go to 81039 Fox CW, or at least if nothing else, pitch it. And then if anybody ever says anything to you, say, well, I reached out. You guys didn't care about our story.
Well, Dave, you have all the connections. Why don't you help me?
Well, I can't go to any other station myself personally. So that's why because they don't pay me. So they told me I can't go anywhere else. I went, is there totally something wrong with this picture? But I'm just saying, I think with what you, Emily Capano,
No.
I sent her a NotMeSD. She's a she's a news person on Fox. She drives a 79 Mustang. She was just on Instagram shooting a flamethrower.
Oh, that's fun.
She was in a tank.
I want to be in a tank.
Well, you ought to see it. I mean, this girl, she's everywhere. But she's, you know what I'm talking about? Emily
No,
Capano?
no, I don't.
Oh, yeah.
But she's on Fox?
Fox, yeah. She's on the morning show with, she's really great. But she's into guns big time. So I sent
Maybe
her.
I should reach out.
I know. Emily Capano. So I've come to the boring conclusion to write a letter.
I write her a letter?
Well, because if you write a letter and send it to Fox News, then that'll end up on the desk, and then they'll say, oh, this is for attention to Emily Capano. Then you take it to Emily Capano. She opens it, because how often does she get a letter? And I think, because if you could go back to New York and get on Fox 5 or Fox News,
That'd be national coverage.
No, that'd be massive coverage. Yeah, you'd be massive. I mean, you want to get the program off the ground.
I mean, I could see a huge spike in that. I would love that.
Yeah.
We can handle it.
And the only reason I pick her is because she's into guns.
Right.
She's on Instagram. But trying to get through to her on Facebook and Instagram.
That's what everybody else does.
Right.
But you can't get through to them.
Get clogged in the.
No,
It's all bogged down.
they'll actually tell you, I'm sorry, we cannot receive something. Okay. And I'm thinking about this for a long time. I've worked on this.
You've been trying to help me, and I appreciate that.
And then I came to the brilliant conclusion, a letter.
You're so smart.
Well, how often do you think to write a letter to
Never.
somebody?
The kids these days don't know how to even write letters.
I
know it's
know.
sad.
Yeah. They
I
don't know how
know.
to address an envelope. They can't do it.
No, I know they don't. They have no idea where. No, they don't.
I taught a life skills class a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And I had this whole curriculum, a syllabus of things that I wanted. One of them was some self-defense. We were going to talk about that, situational awareness. That was in there. I realized after day one, I have to scale this way back. Oh, yeah. So the youth of today is not what it was.
No, it
There's
sure
definitely an
isn't.
advantage to going back to
Different
those old school
generations,
techniques.
that's for
Yep.
sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But that's what the only thing, you just got to think out of the box.
Well, maybe we can get on Fox now that it was, they
Bought
bought
out.
KUSA.
The other thing I
KUSI.
think you should do is I think you should go up against Kiwanis and Seroptimus and all the different speaking groups that are in San Diego. They're always looking for free guests.
And I'm always willing to go speak. And what's interesting is
But
I
the
always
hardest thing is just lining everything up.
Exactly. And I always love telling the story that if you were to tell 17-year-old me that I would be doing what I'm doing
I
today, I would have
know.
told you were crazy. Because
Yeah.
believe it or not, I used to be a shy little girl back in the day
That's
who
right.
didn't like public speaking. And now that I've
Now
been
look at you.
Now look at me doing live interviews, doing speaking engagements. And, the confidence that I've gotten from that has been
Astronomical.
It has been.
But the
And
passion is what drove it.
Exactly. And when you're passionate about something, it's really easy to talk about. And so what I love about NAMI is the passion is there that I get to help other women. Right. And being able to help women take safety into their hands, teaching them about guns. And mind you, I grew up around firearms. Right. And I've been involved with San Diego County Gun Owners for about 4 or 5 years now. And so I love the fact
That's
that
not a very long time.
it's not, but I've been shooting since I was 5.
Yeah.
And so people were like, well, where did you learn how to shoot? And I'm like, I learned from my dad back in the day, and I've, take instructions. But hey, if you want to learn more about NotMeSD, go to NotMeSD.org, and we're happy to help.
Let's do it.
Thanks for watching this clip from Gun Owners Radio. If you're watching mainstream media, you're not getting the truth about guns. Gun Owners Radio is the easiest way to stay on top of the Second Amendment fight, the fight for your self-defense rights. You can watch our live stream on YouTube every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, or if you're in San Diego, AM 1170, FM 96.1, The Answer. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform. Just search Gun Owners Radio and you'll find our show. Like and subscribe to help defend and restore the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.